Obviously, disappointing results, and you can't expect any other thing when you go out there and you turn the ball over, 3 times, and they win a turnover battle like that. And basically, that's the story of the game, and you got to go out there and capitalize when you have a chance. And we were not able to do that. Go ahead, Let.
Yeah, Coach. Do you know what happened on the motion fumble play there? Looked like that kind of.
Yeah, basically timing. We got to get that right. Got the play calling a little bit late. We're trying to rush a couple things, and it's a timing thing. That can't happen. Those things can happen in the National Football League, and we did that. They got that ball. They fumbled the snap twice. We're not able to get either one of those, and that's the biggest difference. It just goes back to the turnovers. We got to get that right, and that can't happen.
And then just as a follow-up, the approach in the exhibition season did not translate into, real live football here today.
I'm not really concerned with that. I think that is, exhibition is about mitigating injuries. So we wouldn't have played nothing but 10 snaps anyway if we did play, and we did not. So I don't even value that as much as you do. I know you may have an opportunity to think that way, but you got to go out there and execute when you get your opportunities to play in this league, and that's what's got to happen.
Obviously, it didn't look like you wanted it to offensively. How much of that at first blush would you credit to y'all, and how much of that would you credit to just you couldn't block them?
You never want to take credit away from your opponent, and they did a great job in doing what they can do, but we got to go out and we got to have the ability to execute against anybody. We got to be able to execute the plays that we want to execute. When you play a team like this, the Pittsburgh Steelers, with the defense they have, it's going to be a dirty game, but we had our opportunities. We got the ball back with a chance to go score. We made a couple big stops in the red zone, got a couple opportunities to go down there and make this thing and take the lead. We came out into the half with 10-9 lead, and we got to maintain that thing, find a way to get down the field, and have some drives, put them together like we did the first time out when we took the possession of the game and be able to do some of those things we was not able to do in the second half.
Without having the benefit of being able to look at it again on the tape, can you tell why you couldn't?
Those guys made plays. We turned the ball over in the second half, hitting people in the face and doing some of the things of that nature, and we can't do that. We got to play better all across the board. It's some of the blocking, some of the protection, being comfortable, all those things come into play. So we'll go back and look at it and find out and get to the root of it and practice and go through our process.
Looking at it live, it looked like when y'all did try to pass, the pocket was closing pretty fast. Did that limit some of the things that y'all wanted to do to attack them on offense?
Hey, they limit that when you line up against these guys. That's kind of the team they are. TJ Watt is that kind of guy, right? He's always going to go out there and cause those kind of problems. You got to give him more credit, just being who he is. He had 2 sacks today. He jumped off sides early and got one that looked a little scary, but he was way off sides, jumped off pretty clear. But you got to go out there and maintain him. Can't let him wreck the game. And he was able to wreck it by getting that fumble recovery and also getting a couple key sacks there to give him 2 to get those things going.
Coach, the defense was impressive today, not allowing touchdowns and holding the offense to 6 field goals. What are your thoughts on their performance for the day?
You can't just necessarily go off of what happened with the results. We got to stop those guys in earlier downs in the run game. They had some success running the football on us, but I was really proud of those guys and what they were able to do with their resiliency in the red zone and within after those turnovers. You got to give guys those type of credit. With it being one game, we got to find ways to get the ball back ourselves, right? We got to find ways to force turnovers to give our guys a short field to be able to go out there and score, and we were not able to do that today. But I was very proud of how they stood up and showed mental toughness and real grit down the stretch.
Curious kind of where you think this team goes from here, considering that you don't get off in the start that you want. So what's the messaging going into a big week and with a Monday Night Football game coming up?
Tori, all these things are the same. They're all learning episodes. They're all learning opportunities. Whether you win, whether you lose, they're all the same for us coaches, right? You got to learn from wins. You got to learn from losses, and we will certainly learn from this loss.
Raheem, Drake and Kyle only combined for 5 catches and 41 yards. Did you sense frustration from them during the game? And just in general, were you surprised at the lack of offensive production, especially in that second half?
Of course, you're going to sense frustration from really competitive people wanting to get the ball in their hand and make a difference. So, I don't look at that as a negative. I look at that as competitors wanting to go out there and help their football team win any way they can. Kyle was able to get the touchdown. We didn't get the ball at Drake enough. But, hey, you want to get the ball to Bijan more. You want to be able to run the football a lot. You got to maintain possessions. You got to keep some possessions. You can't turn the football over. And when you do that, you limit the chance to get your playmakers the ball. And all those things hurt you. So that's always going to hurt your production with turnovers.
Raheem, it's only week 1. How do you evaluate Kirk Cousins getting into this offense, how he played, but also knowing what needs to be done in the next week because you do have the Eagles and Chiefs for Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football?
You better look at them once at a time. We got the Eagles, and we better worry about that on Monday Night Football. We got the extra time to go out there and prepare. We got the extra time to go look at it. And for Kirk, He knows he has to play hard. We know he has to play better. There's no doubt about that, and I look forward to him doing that. He's played in the league for a long time, and I look forward to him bouncing back from a rough game and a rough outing. I'm not overly concerned with that.
Yeah, Coach, how did you all handle the quarterback confusion with Fields and Wilson, and when did y'all all kind of, figure, that it was all go for Fields?
We figured it out when you figured it out, when they let it know, and they announced it at the time they have to announce it. And for us, it's preparation for both of them. And I think our defensive guys did a nice job of preparing for him. And really, when you're talking about Fields, you're just talking about incorporating more of the quarterback running scheme. He was able to punch it out on that last one and really continue that 4-minute drive going at the end with a nice quarterback run driving his legs. But other than that, I thought we did a nice job. I believe he hit one sneak. We stopped one sneak. I think we did a nice job on some of the zone read things, keep him out of pocket. He did a nice job of getting to the edge in the perimeter and the keeper game, which they both do really well. But, it's football, man. You got to be ready for everybody every single week, and that'll never change.
Kirk never looked very comfortable in the pocket. Did you sense that was some rust from having been off, some worry about the injury, just the fact that they were getting home so much?
It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're good defense. You got T.J. Watt out there, and you got Highsmith out there. You got a bunch of good cover guys. You got a bunch of good guys across the board. Maybe he didn't get comfortable. Those are things you have to evaluate when you look at the tape. But, we got to get comfortable. We better do it with an urgent manner.
If maybe this is the wrong word, but how surprised were you by this offensive performance?
Surprise? You can't be surprised in the National Football League. I'm seeing so much and been around so much where you don't have good days. But you better take them all as learning experience and be able to go out there and learn from them. And we got to go out there and figure out a way to fix that quickly and, urgently.
Following up on that, there's plenty that you have to build on, or to work on. But what did you see out of the offense that you can build on? What positives were there?
That first drive was exactly what you wanted. It was efficient. We were executing. We went out there. We were able to run the ball effectively. We got a couple passes off effectively. We got down there, wasn't able to finish it off with the touchdown. We got 3. We got it right at the end there, got the 7 points to Kyle, got some effective passes, moved the ball down the field, threw a touchdown. And then when we came out the second half, I was expecting and hoping to build on that. And we lost a little bit of our edge and our things of that nature to get it done. A couple penalties hurt us with the holding on one from the backed up situation. Bijan had a couple really good runs. He was able to be executed on some screens. He's a guy, and I was really pleased with the way he played the game, just with the mental toughness and the ability to go out there and continue to try to make us win and putting us in a winning position, although we were not able to come out with it.
To follow up on that, if my math is correct, I believe that Bijan touched the ball on over 60% of all offensive plays for you guys today. Do you like that number? Would you like it to be a bit more balanced and throughout with the rest of the guys, or is Bijan that type of talent that you're like over 60% sounds good?
Tori, I like winning, and that wasn't the result we got today. So we got to go back to the lab and figure out a way to win. And whatever that is, we'll do.
Yeah, Coach, what's your sense of how Justin Simmons and Matthew Judon played today?
Very hard to judge those guys. I did see the big plays that we all clearly saw. Justin Simmons making a big knockdown pass, I believe, in the third down. I believe Matthew Judon was a part of a sack, if not having the whole sack later in that second half, and how he was able to play. I watched him set a couple edges, play really well, do a couple really good things. There's a bunch of positive aspects. Obviously as the coach, that's what we see. Obviously as the media is what we see is the negative portion of whatever we're going to look at. But we'll go back and we'll correct those things. But you can't ride the emotional roller coaster, whether you want to be positive about Judon or positive about Justin. We got to have reality checks for ourselves and be able to go out there and correct it.
We've been talking a lot about the offense, but going back to the defense, specifically Grady Jarrett, he had a sack and a half today. What was it like seeing him out there again?
Watching him bounce back with excellence, which you expect, is something that you always really enjoy. Probably some of the few times today you're able to show emotion when a guy like that, who's bigger than just the game of football for us in our community, makes a play coming off the injury and the significance of his injury that he came back from last year, and being able to see his mother and his family out there today really support him is always something that you're always going to look back and smile at, no matter what the outcome is, because of that guy and that human.
Anything else, Coach? All right, thank you.
All right.
I'll just start if that works, and then take any questions you have. Disappointing, to lose. Certainly, it always is. Needed to play better. That's the bottom line. I thought our defense played very well. I thought our special teams played very well, and we didn't complement that enough on offense. You can start with the turnovers and then some untimely, penalties where we had a drive going and then it got kind of set back. And so we did some positive things, had a strong first drive, but just didn't sustain enough drives. And it felt like a lot of that or some of that was self-inflicted. And so now we have to, flush it and understand that it's a loss. It's disappointing, but you have to move forward and treat every game as its own entity. And that's where you go really after a win or a loss. That's where your mind has to go. I can take any questions you have.
Kirk, what was kind of the disconnect between first half production and then kind of the lack thereof of the second half for you?
Yeah, I haven't really gone back and thought through it all quite yet, so I don't have a great answer for you. But I would argue that first and foremost, just those drives stalled. I think, we had the fumble snap was one drive that I thought we were moving the football well. We had a great chance, had great field position, and then that ended that drive. And then we had the third down conversion to Kyle Pitts, but we had a penalty that then set us back that kind of nullified that play. And then had another completion to Bijan on a series where he got us a first down, thought we were moving, and then they called that one back with a penalty that then put us in long yardage. So felt like we had, the chances to get going, and it was just a flag or the turnover or whatever it may have been to kind of wipe out the opportunity to. And then we ended up in a lot of third and longs. I thought when we were in third and manageable, it was a pretty productive situation for us, but the minute it was third and really long, it was much harder.
When you look at the two interceptions, kind of what did you see and how quickly guys like TJ Watt were kind of getting to you in those moments?
Yeah, I was really trying to avoid the sack on the first one and throw it away. I knew Drake was breaking in there. I did see color, but I was just trying to basically put it out there, way out in front of him, but the safety was there and made a good play. In hindsight, I have to go back and watch it to really give you a good answer. But either just throw it away lower, or you take the sack, or whatever it's got to be to avoid the outcome there. And then the second one, just couldn't get anything on the ball, and that's where again I'll go back and watch it and be critical and say, hey, maybe you eat it or you progress or you dirt it or whatever you got to do to kind of avoid the critical error of the interception.
You mentioned at the top that you need to play better. What does that mean specifically for you in terms of preparation for Philadelphia?
Yeah, your preparation, I think, is pretty much, similar, but you've got to, we got to avoid critical errors. We always say that, but we've got to do it. And, I think if we do that and we keep ourselves in manageable down and distances, I think today showed it, we can be a productive offense. And, but when we hurt ourselves, it's tough to overcome.
Were you surprised by the offense today? Were you surprised it didn't look cleaner, didn't go cleaner?
I was disappointed, certainly disappointed. You always go out there with an expectation that you're going to play at a high level, and we didn't play up to our standard today.
You never looked like you were comfortable in the pocket, and maybe that's just the way it looked. How did you feel in the pocket?
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch it to give you a better answer. I think at times, was working through progressions and was like the touchdown was basically just working all the way across the field, getting to really number 4, number 5 in the progression. And a couple other times kind of working across, getting to Bijan late in the progression. So at times, click through it. And then other times, just was trying to play fast and didn't get the outcome we wanted.
Given this team's off season, will your approach this week be, okay, guys, I know it wasn't what we started, to kind of boost them back up, or will your approach be, we're just going back to work and sticking with what we've been saying all off-season?
I think you always come in new week, win or loss. You come in, hey, new week. We've got to have some great energy. We got to be ready to go. We got to work hard. we got to, first of all, Monday, you got to go back and watch it and be critical and say, how can we be better and what can we do? And I haven't done that yet to be able to give you better answers, but that's really where it starts. And then, yeah, you got to, when you have things that happen that you didn't like, you got to say, okay, how do we prevent those from happening again, and be strategic with those answers. And that's the process of every week, yeah.
Kirk, I don't know if anybody asked this before, but would preseason games have helped more, or would that have been not a non-factor?
I think it's hard to say. I think the key is that we're healthy, for week one, and that was really the focus. And there's never excuses. You gotta be ready to go when your number's called, regardless. And that was certainly no different today.
Kirk, what is your post-game ritual, so to speak? Will you go home and have dinner and kind of take your mind off the game, or do you go home and dive right into the tape, or is that something you leave for Monday? What is your process?
I'll watch it pretty quick here to try to start to unpack what took place. Probably send a couple voice memos to coaches just to kind of give some thoughts that I have off the cuff after I watch it, just to let, and then maybe they converse back, and we just kind of start to begin that analysis. But it's a process that'll go through tomorrow, and I never really sleep great after games, regardless, win or loss. But you just have to move forward now, and that's the mental, physical, emotional toughness of playing the NFL. Is you got to have is you got to move forward and play your best football next week, regardless of what happened today.
Talking to Chris Lyncham in the locker room, and he said we need to be better for Kirk, talking about the offensive line unit as a whole. I'm just kind of curious what steps you feel like that group needs to make to do what Chris says.
No, it's a great group, and they just battled all day, and they were great. In the huddle, getting the line of scrimmage. Chris has such great awareness. Drew does too of play clock and situations, and they're just really smart. And until I watch the film, I really can't answer that question. I think that they're battling their butts off, and I'm grateful to be able to play with them. And it's a great group that I think we'll be able to do a lot of good things here up ahead. And again, if we don't stub our toe or kind of hurt ourselves on some of these drives, I think when we saw what we can be. But it's got to be every play.
Kirk, right here. Can you just go through what happened on the fumbled snap that hit Dwelly?
Yeah, the timing was off. It's my fault of sending the motion and then asking for the ball, and the timing was off. So it's something that you have to bat 1,000, and you can't have a mistake, and we paid for it today. Okay, thanks. Yep.